My name is Josh Van Dyke, and I am the VP of Sales for North America. I've been with Senshare for about 6.5 years and had a pleasure of working with a lot of our different clients. And it's great to be joined by Chris Lehman. Chris, why don't you go and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Josh. Always fun to be here again with you. And for the first time doing a webinar as a Senshare employee. So I joined Senshare fully 6.5 months ago, so a little different, but I have been working with the system from multiple different angles. Started off on the client side and helped implement there, then jumped over to the partner side, and now with them, with Senshare, and been working with the system for over 10 years now.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So we're first going to talk a little bit about what is a product, and more specifically, like, what is your product? And we're seeing a lot of products out there that aren't necessarily a tangible physical product that is more traditional. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some of the complexity that we're seeing in products, some of the problems that we see a lot of teams facing, and then how do we solve them? And then we'll talk a little bit more about real world use cases. And then, of course, from those use cases, what were the benefits that were gained? So let's dive in. Let's talk about what is a product, right? Of course, we have more traditional products out there, right? A physical product that you're used to seeing a lot. Maybe a manufacturer or retailer has a product and has a SKU and a G10 or a UPC. Has size, weights, dimensions, has different colors, right? It may have different care instructions, but it also has marketing copy that goes with it. It has marketing materials. It has brand information that goes along with it. It has different media that goes into it with images and videos and collateral. And that's a more traditional product. But Chris, what are some of the other things that we're working with right now and that we're seeing?
Yeah, one of the newest ones we're working on is really on the hotel hospitality side. So we're actually able to use that hotel ends up being your product, and all that data that goes into around that hotel ends up being information that's stored within the system. So what kind of food and beverages do you have? Do you have a restaurant, a bar, types of things like that? What are the rooms, different amenities, pool, workout center? All those different pieces go into building up that product of that hotel. But then you also have information that is standard too, like the marketing copy. What is the brand? What is the media that goes along with it? So it's another way to take all of that different information that isn't a tangible product that you're able to like take home or do something with like a manufacturer, but it is a lot of information that you need to store and have those relationships around.
And, one of the other things that we're seeing is really in the movie studios and, the production side of things, right? And their product, as let's say the movie itself, has characters, actors, scenes, sets, props, scripts. It has visual effects. So it has a lot of 3D assets that are really complex, right? And those products all need to come together. All those attributes need to come together, but they also have traditional things too, as you're seeing with marketing copy, marketing material, brand guidelines, different media that goes into it. So we're seeing a lot of, people in the media and entertainment industry utilizing and thinking about themselves as a product and what goes into their product and how do they need to distribute it out to the world. And Chris, let's give one more example.
Yeah, one more example that we have that we run into too is around the finance and insurance side, because you have like a prospectus or this different information that you're going to be offering around a fund or a different piece of information that you're going to have that you're going to build up that has cost and pricing. What are the returns been like? You're going to have charts, all this different information that goes along with that, like who manages it. But then also your traditional marketing copy, brand and media, all of that ties into it too. So the heavily regulated markets too is something that we're able to look at it in a different way where they might not think of this as a specific product for a traditional PIM. We're able to do that too and leverage those relationships for them as well.
So we have a lot of different products and a lot of different product types, but that data and content comes together and the problems that exist within organizations are really similar, even though there are a bunch of different verticals. So as that data and content come together and you're trying to create that product and publish it out, these are the things we see a lot of lack of innovation. The data is, siloed and the data isn't very clean, right? It isn't scalable because it's everywhere. The integrations aren't really good, or maybe they don't exist at all, right? There's a lot of information just sitting around on spreadsheets, and I hear people want to pull their hair out and go spreadsheets, right? And there just isn't much in the way of like cross-team collaboration and adoption. And as a result, you have kind of poor performance. You have limited asset reuse. You typically don't have much in the way of digital strategy or governance, and it just isn't working very well. Chris, what are you seeing? You work on a ton of projects.
Yeah, a lot of it really comes down to is where do I find the information that I need? And when you have separate systems that don't actually talk to each other or aren't fully integrated, then people don't know where to go to get the correct image or the correct content or the correct data that you need to have within there. A lot of that goes down to tribal knowledge, but that isn't necessarily the best way to go to scale or speed to market. Where when you put everything together, you think about your product in a different way and put everything into that DAM and PIM as one system makes it a lot easier for everybody to find that information and to work.
Yeah, and the last thing you want is that tribal knowledge because everybody talks about a single point of truth, but there's also single points of failure out there. Where if one person leaves and they know where all the skeletons are, that's really tough to find that information later, right? Let's talk a little bit about who's involved in this and what's involved in it, right? And how it really stretches across the organization. So let's say you have your end consumer. Your end consumer may want to go ahead and buy things physically in a store. Let's say they may be buying things online. You want to make sure that information matches up. You also have a ton of other information out there in regards to your product personas and who's working with these things, right? So you might have marketing people working within a PIM and DAM solution, right? You might have a designer working on different documents and product data sheets. You might have social media people working on media rich content and videos. You might have product management and photographers working on enriching these products, right? You might have the campaign planner making sure that everything within this product and its launch and how it's going to go to market is coordinated and lines up on the right dates. You might have strategists overlooking things. You might have even down to the customer service person. A customer service person, someone calls in and you go, oh man, well, I got to look up this information. Is it right? Am I getting it from the right source? Do I have the most current information or the current data to send it? And so what does that look like, Chris, for you? When you see it, what does that culminate to?
I mean, it really comes down to is that you want to find that single source of truth that is accurate and then also allows people to work together and be collaborative. Because when you're working across multiple systems and you don't know where to go, it slows everything down. And especially when you don't have that single source of truth, makes it even more difficult for people. So having that one place to go, knowing that it's right, is the key to all of this for you in the end as the consumer.
Let's talk about some of the benefits, Chris.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we're talking about there is really having that one place for everything. So it brings together your data, your media, your marketing, all of the information that goes into what you're trying to do is sell your product in one way or another. So having that all in one place and seeing it all at once makes it a lot easier for people to work. And also with your rights permissions within there, allows the right people to make changes to the right pieces as well, too. But then you also get to see where those relationships are. So what is everything that goes into this product? We'll talk about how we build up products in a little bit too with the compound assets, but then also get to see where it's used. So like not only what builds up all the information, but then also where has it been used so that you can see if something needs a change or if there's an update, you can see that all at once at a glance. And then also you can automate based off of this. So having those compound assets or these products allows you to do a lot with it. So you can do these automatic creation of the different information so you can set it out, but then you're also able to do these automatic updates too. So if something changes because everything's tied together, it makes it very easy for you to know where it needs to be updated, but then you could also automate a lot of that information.
Yeah, for sure. And we also see there's oftentimes a leaner tech stack that goes into this. As you start to bring these things together and work together in one system, you're able to deprecate other systems that are no longer needed. You have a tremendous amount more collaboration among your teams, your product team, your marketing copy, the people that are actually building out maybe even a catalog, people that are working on the e-commerce side are all coming together. And as a result of all that collaboration, and you often have a lot faster time to market, which is really, really valuable. And, it also is one of the big selling points when you're investing in new systems is how do you show to leadership that, hey, this is going to be worth it. And that's one of those things around the getting to the market quicker and getting those products out there quicker and being able to deprecate some of those systems is one way to really show that ROI. So we have a lot of information here. We have a lot of complexity. So how does all that complexity really come together? And how do you visualize that? Well, within SendShare, it's built on a graph database. So you don't just have a bunch of separate assets sitting somewhere in files or folders in a bunch of different places. It actually can show the relationships. So you can see how everything is connected within the system, right? So you can see what team worked on what, how a product was related to the images and the media and the product data and the product sheets and where it's been published and who's published it and the rights associated with it and rights associated maybe with the talent that was in the commercial. And it brings a lot of context around the actual assets that you have. And the beautiful thing is, let's actually see how this works in real time. Let's talk a little bit maybe about our customer Bega.
Yeah, customer Bega, they create a lot of lighting, and they have all this different material that goes into these different products within there. So utilizing this and the graph database allows them to really be able to find and see everything that goes into a product. So here's a product where we can see all of the other pieces that go into it. And then from there, you're able to take that and see what are the options, what makes up this product, or also where has it been used. So not only are you able to then click through and find these things, you also get to see what it's made up of. So this allows you to then see what are the elements that make up this product, or what are the media or the graphics that go into this as well, or where has this been used. So it's already been placed into a spec sheet, as we can see down there. It's also being used for pre-ship items, but then also you can see what makes this up. Makes it very easy for you to find things by actually having this graph database represented in this way, where you can actually move through it. So you don't have to know where everything is, but if you know that, hey, I'm looking for something as part of this product line or part of this product, you can click on it and click through to find that actual piece that you wanted to find at the end very easily, because of all of the relations and the meaning that goes into those.
Yeah, it's much more discoverable, much more easy to find the things when you don't know the title of what you're looking for. It's easy when you know the exact file name or location of something, but sometimes you don't know that, right? But you know one element, and then you can navigate those relationships to find what you're looking for. On top of that, because you know where everything lives and where it's related, you can kind of have that one to many, many to one aspect of it. I remember talking to Bega once, and they had this part, and this part was in like 182 different products. And then they changed something around the part. It used to be, would work up to -20 degrees, but now it works up to like -30 degrees. And she changed it in the system in front of me. And then it reflected on all these 182 other products that part is in. And I said, wow, that was really cool. That was amazing. How did you do that in the past before SendShare? And she goes, we didn't, right? And things just became kind of outdated over time, right? And so we would change it in some of the hot spots, but then other spots, yeah, it just didn't happen, right? We also have this ability to have compound assets, which is really cool. And so within a compound asset, you have this bringing together of many different asset types. So you might have a product, you have media associated with that product. You have content like the marketing copy or disclaimers associated with the product. You have a lot of different product attributes that are coming together. So in the case of, the chair on the left, you might have the images of the chair, you might have prices, you might have brand up there in terms of Vitra, you have some product copy. In terms of the hotel, again, you have things like, imagery that goes into this hotel or this resort, you have copy that's promoting, you have a bunch of attributes that go along with that hotel, the parking, the pet policy, the size of the rooms, the prices, so on and so forth. And same with, the media and entertainment. You have a lot of different media that goes into it. You have brands that go into it. You have marketing copy, you have marketing collateral. You even have, different product attributes. And this ability to bring it all together into a compound asset and have customizable tabs based on your specific products, so you can have an organized fashion and then be able to navigate through that and see how everything's connected is really valuable for end clients. Let's talk a little bit about, some of the products that we have and some of the examples that we have and how that relates.
Yeah, we're going to start with how we can use this in print. So utilizing that compound asset allows you to automate. We talked about automation being key for this, but because we know that we can control this asset by knowing like what the main image is, what the pricing is, all of the data and the media together allows us to do some automation. So we can actually work within InDesign here and actually take a product and place that within here. And it's going to then take all that information and spread it out onto this page. So then by dragging and dropping this, we can automate this, have it automatically update on the page and then into the book for us so that we have that information into a print catalog. So that's one easy way for us to take this and push it into print. But not only can we use that for print, we can also then push that across to omnichannel output. So here we go. On the left is that page we created, and then on the right is what this could look like out onto a product portal. So again, you can see the similarities between all the images and all the pricing, all the copy. again, we're creating this once. The product is created once. It has that relations. It has that information to it, and it allows us to put this out into many different outputs. You can do this for email, social, any of the different output channels here. This is just some examples with it, but building up that relationships allows us to do this. But then if we have a change, so if the price changes or anything like that, it then is able to be pushed out to all these different outputs as well at the same time. So it makes it a lot easier for us to not only automate the creation of print pieces or web pages, but then also automate those updates because it's there and we were able to push that out basically by doing a push button update.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Let's take a look at that use case a little further.
Yeah, so Vitra is a mid-century modern furniture manufacturer based out of Europe. They started with Censure in 2012. They were really looking to get a centralized PIM. They didn't have that, but they needed to bring that in and then also manage 19 languages. So they're producing a catalog in 19 different languages. Their website was actually up to like 64 different languages that is all managed as well. So then they also had to manage their e-com. So they needed a place to store all of that, but then also they wanted to take their 12 systems they had and try to consolidate that down. So we worked with them, started with their print production. So they were producing a catalog. So this is a portion of one of their catalogs, which is very easy to see. But this has over 600 pages and also changes into the 19 different languages. Let's just look at one of the pages here so we can see how this is pulling in information. So we have charts, we have all of the information that goes into this, including pricing. So again, this is some of that automation that we're able to do by pushing this in by placing the products within here, having that information tied together into their SAP so that if something changes, it's going to be up to date and we always know it's right. But then this also is then used to push out to their website. And let's actually jump over to their website to actually see this product live on their website now. So we can see that this main image that we have placed in that in the catalog is also we're using here. The copy is exactly the same. Who is the creator of this? All of this comes from within the Censure system and is tied between the print piece and also our website here, along with other media and other information that we have, because within the website, we're able to do a lot more than you're able to do just in a catalog. So we can offer up some of the other information like what are related products, what are upsells, different pieces like that. But then they also have a configurator here. So these are different options that you can have, and you can actually come in here and choose, like if you wanted to have different legs or for different back, different guides or glides within here. And all of these are different assets and information stored within the Censure system that allows you to do this configuration. You could add it to your cart and then send it off for fulfillment. Again, tracking information within Censure and then passing it out to those places to actually create this, because what they do is that they don't, for a majority of their products, they're created when you order. So then we can do that within here. We create the order from Censure and send it off to their fulfillment center where they actually create that, the actual chair for you then. And then we also have all the other information within here. Again, all of these are assets stored around that product. So all of this can be pulled back and used so that you can dive deeper into this on the website. But again, any of the other output channels we wanted to, we can do from within here too and share it that way.
And just for everyone attending, I hope everyone's recognizing the number of different types of assets that we're also seeing here. We're seeing image assets, we're seeing video assets, we're seeing 3D assets, we're seeing copy assets, right? So we're seeing marketing copy, we're seeing essentially articles. We're also able to see all of the product data that's coming in, all those product attributes that are populating onto the site as well. So all of that is coming together, all of that is stored in Censure. And on top of that, you have a tremendous amount of variance in the Censure system as well, because you can see even just a simple chair has multiple different colors, multiple different finishes on the legs. Some of them also have multiple different materials in terms of the fabric and some of their other products. So you have a tremendous amount of variance. And then on top of that, to add a little bit more complexity to it, I think, Chris, you said this was in what, 19 different languages?
Yes, 19 base languages.
Right. So 19 languages that it's consumed in, and all that complexity and all those assets are coming together in such a really beautiful, easy front end experience for the client. So although there's a tremendous amount of complexity on the back end, the front end user is seeing the beauty and the ease of use within the experience, which is really, really lovely. And I think there's also a lot of documentation that goes along with this too, right, Chris?
Yes, that is for sure. And what we've worked with the partner worked with them to create this media box within the system so that if you didn't want to go looking at the product and find that information around the fact sheets or the data information, you can actually come into here and find that information. Or if you're a reseller, you can come in here and find the sheets that you need to find. So you can look by product, you can search, you can have your selections, download, get notified of updates. But all of this is then stored within the system as well. So again, serving up the information. So we're creating all of this once and then serving it up in multiple different ways for consumers to have this information. So we have all of this that goes into around that product can be used then by the consumers, but then also can be also used by then resellers and then other companies that are out there too, because not only do they sell it direct, this is also sold around the United States too, that you can go find different pieces of Vitra at your local high-end furniture stores.
And all these documents, because the imagery, the copy, and the templates are all connected within SendShare, there's a lot of automation that goes into the creation of those. So it's not so manual as well. Let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits that Vitra's seen.
Yeah, so we were able to get everything into the one system. So they know where to find all of their product data, all of the information they need to, their disclaimers, the media, and then be able to send that out. So they know where to go. So we're able to make it a lot easier for them to work together. So we showed you a little bit. So we're pushing out to print. We're all pushing out to web. They're also sending out emails from the system. And they also had for a while a Vitra house where you could actually go in there and they would take their products and decorate the whole house with their products and have little POS stands that was all served up from within SendShare too, so that you can get information from it. So it wasn't to their website, it was a small little app that they had that allowed you to shop the store while you were within there then too. So again, really able to go out to any output channels we wanted to with them. For the first year, we were able to save $1 million in being more accurate with their pricing, but then also 50% faster to market. They're able to actually take that 600-page catalog and just before they go out to print, hit an update so that they're able to get the most up-to-date pricing coming out of SAP automatically. So they wouldn't have to go into every page and every graph and make the changes or have somebody mark it up. Having that tied together to their pricing system, knew that they were going to have the most up-to-date pricing. And then also, since it's closer to market, they didn't have as much of a lag because printing always takes time. So you're able to get it into the hands of the consumers, and that pricing was more accurate then, so they're able to save time and make more money that way. And finally, we're also able to reduce their systems. So they started off with over 12 different systems. We have it down to 2. So SendShare and their SAP pricing system, and that was it that they have then. They push it out to their different output channels, but they no longer have to go back and forth between multiple different systems to manage all of this information. It's down to 2 different systems that allows them, again, reduction of that complex. It makes it a lot easier for them, and then also quicker for them to work together. Josh, what about another use case that you think of?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Vega, we talked about Vitra. Let's talk a little bit about the media and entertainment use case. So media and entertainment, they're using SendShare as a product tool as well. So if we dive into the dashboard here, you can organize your dashboard just by, let's say, titles of the different productions that they've created. And if you're saying, oh, I just need to look for things that are related to Lord of the Rings, I can just click right on Lord of the Rings and I can get an overview of different assets, different media, different details, communicate back and forth to people. If I go into their products, I can go into the Lord of the Rings products. In this case, it's more the movie product, right? The actual production. And so you can see I have in the overview, I have some digital media, I have some branding, I have some copy, right? I have some product properties that are in here. I have some completeness checks, over on the right-hand side before things can be published, and some workflow states. But along the top in the product, again, the product's going to be a lot different because it's a media and entertainment product versus a chair, right? So we have different things like narrative elements. Within a narrative element, you have things like your characters. You could have a whole list of your characters, all the different sets. You could have different narrative objects, right? But you also have productive elements that are related back to those narrative elements. So you might have an actor. An actor is a person asset that's related to a character. Now, a character might have multiple relationships. It might have this person asset, right? A person is not a file, right? It's just an asset type. But that person can be related to a character. But a character might have a real live person related to it as the main character. It might have a stunt double related to it. It might even, have a body double that's related to it. So you can start to see some of those relationships. And as well, you have, of course, a digital backlot. And the digital backlot's a huge part of movies today, right? You have a lot of VFX that goes into a movie. So a lot of 3D files that are going into it. Just like a product like a chair may have a 3D file, a movie has 3D files. They're just a bit different, right? And so you can actually store these different VFX and 3D files and reuse them again, right? So, hey, we have this shot of, this car crashing and the window smashing out. Well, that can be used over and over again. So, but we need to be able to find it. We need to be able to surface it, right? And then you have different, production objects. You could have scenes, you could have sets, you could have props, you could have costumes. So you can have a lot of different attributes that go into this product. And then you can also see how they're all related, right? So you can actually say, show me the relationships. So I can see how this costume is related here. I can see this movie has these types of relationships. And if I zoom out, I can even see more and more of those relationships. So I can see how everything is connected. Hey, this character, Dominic Toretto, is related to Vin Diesel, but also related to, this stunt double, but also related to this leather jacket, but also related to this Dodge Charger that he drives, right? And so you can start to see those web of relationships and how things may change or morph over time in a series that has multiple movies. So it's a much different way of using a product, or a much different product attributes, but a lot of the similar commonalities across the actual verticals are the same. And so really, really, really valuable for the media and entertainment space. So some of the big benefits that we're seeing in the media and entertainment space is a lot of time saving. So, being able to show how things are connected. When I talk to, our client Illumination Entertainment, they say, gosh, it's so easy and intuitive to navigate through the system, because I can just go to the production. I can say, oh, I want to find this scene and, this character, and find it real quick. And then even more so than that, being able to kind of visually show that creation, that compound asset, how everything's structured together, how it creates the entire production, and how those relationships, again, similar concept. Hey, we did this campaign this one time for this one movie, this one thing, but I can't remember what the file name was. But I know that it was part of that production, and then I can go to that campaign within that production, and then I can start to find the asset that I'm looking for without knowing the name of the asset. So it makes things much more discoverable, and it's really future-proofing and makes it a lot easier to use. Again, if you can navigate through something quickly and find the things you're looking for, whether that's by search or just by knowing those relationships and navigating through it, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. It makes it a lot easier to onboard people as well. So let's talk a little bit about that product lifecycle. We see this as the same thing throughout, every organization. You have this creation of assets and products, right? You're creating something one time, you're reusing it often. So creating a lot of efficiencies by using templates, creating that thing once, having its own modular form, and having it be able to be reused over and over and over again, right? What are some of the other things we see, Chris?
Yeah, so after it gets created, you have to go through review cycles and approval processes. So being able to track that information and seeing where it is in the workflow and knowing how far along that product is. Does it have all the metadata that you need to actually publish this? Does it have a main picture? Does it have those 3D assets that you need? What information is missing? If you're doing this all in that one system, makes it a lot easier for that. And that leads into your next step then, is being able to distribute and then also track how is it, where is it going? How is it being used? So you can do the publishing. I mentioned like single click publishing or updating of the different assets within there. So depending on what your output channels are, be it a print product, print piece where you just need to update the latest pricing, you're going to get notified that there's a change within there, and you hit a button and it updates that automatically. So you allow for some more automation with this then too, but then you can also see where that is. And then also from there, it allows you to move on.
Yeah, and just tracking and all that distribution, making sure that you know all your endpoints and everything, and easy to click through. Let's talk about lessons learned as we're kind of coming up on time. And then we have a special treat for everybody as well with a little bonus item. So lessons learned. One, everybody's got a product. We see this over and over again now. The last 5 or 6 years, so many people coming in saying, yeah, we have assets, but they're really related to a greater thing, right? And so what is your product, and what are the attributes around that product?
Yeah, and no matter what that product is, you want to be able to see those relationships, not only to see where they're used, but see where those products are used to see it in that way, but then also see everything that goes into making up your product is very important and makes it a lot easier for everybody to continue to work and work in a collaborative fashion.
And then automation is really key for that, the creation of items, but also for the updates. So creating things automatically, and then as things change, making sure those changes are automated as well.
Yeah, and then finally, again, no matter what your product is, bringing it together makes you work more efficiently, working together more, and then also gets you out of the door and makes it faster time to market because you know where that single source of truth is and allows you to know and not have to guess back and forth. And it takes away that tribal knowledge that a lot of companies have.
Fantastic. So one of the things Chris and I have done is worked with our customers and our partners to start to gather and create a buyer's guide for procuring PIM and DAM. And within this buyer's guide, you actually can go ahead and you have, I think it's 14 different points and 14 different questions you'd want to ask. It's questions to ask your team, ask the vendors that you're talking to. And it's not just the questions that you ask, it's the why behind the question. And it's what you should be looking for in the answer, right? And so it's really comprehensive in that way versus just a kind of a list of questions in a buyer's guide, right? So really valuable. You can scan this right now, or if you don't want to do that, you can also just email us. Our contact details are right here, and we can email you this buyer's guide as well. Really, really valuable. We'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of their day. We had a lot of people signed up for this and a large people on this call. So I really appreciate it, taking the time out of your day. We'd love to connect with you and talk a little bit about, PIM and DAM together and your journey and some of the things that you're looking to overcome, some of those challenges, some of the goals that you have. So feel free to reach out to us. But thank you so much. Chris, thank you so much for co-hosting this webinar as well with me. So thank you. And everyone have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.